Hello everyone, John from Top Split here, and I'm winding the clock back to the start of my multiplayer journey here in Forza Motorsport. This is my first introductory multiplayer race, qualified P3 at Laguna Seca in the Honda touring cars, taking it quite easy down into turn 1. Want a clean first corner here on the brakes early, a lot earlier than Ellen, who's off into the gravel. We'll make a bit of a move down the inside there and we're into P2, a great start. I am using the track limits markers and the braking lines here, but I do turn those off a few races in. You'll see those in some videos coming down the line. I do have a lot more multiplayer content to come. We've been having a lot of fun in Forza GT, in the GT3 cars, in the early LMP Hopper that's recently been in the game. It's been a mixed bag of racing, some great races, some punty demolition derby wreck fests, a whole bunch of fun nonetheless, so plenty more to come on that front. Make a bit of a hash of the corkscrew on the first lap here, and that'll be the bane of my existence through the rest of this video. We've made a bit of a gap to P3, but we are about a second and a half behind Nicky Cyclone in the lead here. Going a bit wide at the final corner as well, and going out onto the gravel, so slowed down a bit, and we're 2.5 seconds behind by the end of the first lap. Moving on to lap 3, and again, the corkscrew is not my friend today, cutting both the entry and the exit, getting a 2/10 penalty here, and we are almost 6 seconds behind Nicky. I've been reading all the comments on our last video about the cars, tracks and updates that might be coming to Forza Motorsport. And thank you to everyone who left a comment. I do like to try and read and respond to as many as I can. There was a lot of comments about my thoughts on the game's handling on a wheel, my wheel settings, and also the cars, tracks, features and other bits and pieces you'd like to see in Forza Motorsport. So I've got a follow-up video coming soon that will go a bit deeper into my thoughts and feelings and the fixes and updates I like to see. So if you don't want to miss that one, be sure to subscribe. Update 1.1 was pushed earlier this week, which wasn't as big as 1.0 the week before. It was just a hot fix for a bug. But this does beg the question, we've seen 2 updates 7 days apart, so can we expect weekly updates moving forward? If so, I think that's great. It's good to see that Turn 10 are working to fix the bugs that were in the game on release, even if they should have been fixed before the game came out. But it's a good sign of things to come, and hopefully we'll be getting many more updates like it down the road. And as we start lap 6 heading into the first corner, the gap to Nicky ahead is up to 9 seconds. But from this corner onwards, I noticed we're starting to gain quite a bit of time. We're doing this race on the medium tyres, and I'm starting to think that Nicky started on the softs trying to go the distance, making up about a second at that first corner on our way up to my worst corner of the circuit, the corkscrew here at Laguna Seca. Fast forwarding through the rest of the lap into the final sector, round the final corner here, and I get one of my better exits out of the final corner, taking as much as I dare of the inside curb. And as we cross the start-finish line here to start our final lap, the gap is at about 7 seconds. Nicky does have a 2.6 second penalty, so we need to gain about 5 seconds on this last lap. Seems like a tall order, but around the first corner and halfway down the run to turn 5, we've already gained about a second and a half here, keeping the foot to the floor round turn 2. That gap is down to 5 seconds already, and up to this tricky left-hander turn 3 at the bottom of the hill, and that gap is already down to 4.3, 4.2, 4.1 as we head up the hill. Can I get a decent corkscrew for the first time this race? Try and brake as late as I can here. Try and take as much of that inside curb as I can, and it's okay. It's not too bad. Gap is down to 3 seconds, and I can see Nicky ahead struggling there. Clouds of dust kicking up, and he has all 4 wheels off onto the gravel on the exit of the penultimate corner. We're inside 1.5 seconds heading into the final corner, and he's really struggling, really slowing it down there. And as we head towards the line, Nicky is going to take the checkered flag, but with that 2.9 second penalty now, we are going to take P1 in our first multiplayer race in Forza Motorsport. What a great start to our journey here. We kept it clean, kept it consistent, and managed to score victory in our first outing. I couldn't ask for a better start. And as it's our first time on the top step, we've got to enjoy that podium. Nev in third, Nicky Cyclone in second, and myself taking the top step of the podium. Let's see if we can carry that momentum into race number 2. Here we are into race 2, qualified P4 this time, once again at Laguna Seca in the Honda touring car. Can we go 2 for 2? Let's see, heading down into turn 1. Again, just want a clean start here. We do keep our foot to the floor and hit Cluxy up the rear. That sends us into the gravel on the right-hand side and bam! Into the wall. We're very lucky not to come off worse than that. Totally my mistake. And I'm looking to defend P4. I know Sinus and the rest of the pack will be keen to make positions early. But up ahead, we see a bit of argy-bargy, and that's 2 Saints inspecting the gravel on the way up the hill there. Into P3 we go, and we're heading up the hill to tackle the corkscrew for the first time. Can we do better than we did in race 1? Well, it's not too bad as we fast forward through the rest of this first lap. Notorious Saint and Cluxy Head side by side for a lot of this lap, really fighting for P1 as we start lap 2. As we head into turn 1, just trying to make the most of any opportunities ahead. Notorious Saint doesn't get a great exit through turn 1. We're really gaining on him on the way down into turn 2 here. Have to lift off ever so briefly to avoid going right to the back of him as we look down the inside into turn 3. Go for an aggressive move down the inside, trying to keep it on circuit. We're just outside track limits and lose a bit of traction. Notorious Saint does the old switcheroo right back up the inside as we head into the corkscrew once again. I repeat my typical mistake, braking far too early, and as we exit the corkscrew, Notorious Saint almost has a 1 second gap. So we fast forward through the rest of lap 2, just trying to keep within striking distance of the cars ahead. And as we head into turn 1 on lap 3, Notorious Saint takes a whole bunch of the gravel on the inside here, really slows him down. We give him a bit of a tap as we sweep around the outside. Just got to keep my foot to the floor. Can we keep it on track on the exit? We've got 2 wheels out on the gravel. We do get a half-second penalty. We get punted up the rear entering at turn 3, but we do manage to keep that P2 position onto the end of lap 4, and it's safe to say I don't have a great final sector. 2 wheels on the exit of the penultimate corner, and then I don't know what I was doing on this final bend, making a real hash of it. Trying to get this front wheel drive car to both brake and steer at the same time is never a great idea, and both Notorious Saint and WRT Matt are breathing down my neck as we crest the hill and make our way down. A little tap on the back from Notorious Saint, and he dives down the inside. Maybe I could have given him a little more room, maybe he could have backed out a bit 50-50 there, but we managed to get away with it. And now I'm just looking to extend that gap as much as I can. This front wheel drive Honda is a great introductory car to get your feet wet in the multiplayer here. It's easy to drive, it's a great car to just throw around and have fun with. We make a hash of the corkscrew once again, and WRT Matt has made his way past Notorious Saint, dives down the inside on this downhill left-hander. Great move from him there, but then he goes a bit wide of the penultimate corner, almost dips his wheels into the gravel, and we have a bit of a run on him into this final corner. We brake as late as we dare, give him a bit of a tap on the rear. That loses us a bit of time, and that gives Notorious Saint behind us a chance to get into our slipstream and perhaps make a move down into turn 1, but he doesn't quite have the speed, so I'm looking to get the best exit I can out of turn 1 here. Full throttle for as long as I can. Matt takes quite a lot of gravel on the exit, so we are gaining on him, and by the time we get to turn 3, we're going to be right up his chuff here. Heading into the braking zone, and I miss my braking mark. I'm right into the back of him, and I do push him off the circuit. Not proud of that one for sure, and I get fairly penalized. 2.25 second penalty there, totally on the money. I think that was pretty atrocious for me, let's be honest. Also struggle my way through the corkscrew there as Matt almost has a go right back at me down this downhill left-hander here, and we run a bit wide here out onto the gravel, almost an off track there, but it looks like Matt has a bit of a moment behind Notorious Saint back into third position. And as we round the final corner with 1 lap left to go, can we hold it in P2? I need to build a 2-second gap on Notorious Saint behind. Can I get a good corkscrew? It's crucial for holding on to that P2. Entry is not too bad, but we straight line the second half of the corner. We're out onto the gravel all over the place here. And Notorious Saint behind us has closed the gap right up, just 2/10 behind us. We're out onto the gravel on the right hand side once again, and he's on our outside on this penultimate corner. A little bit of door bashing there, and there's just one corner to go. Braking hard, Notorious Saint goes for a move down the inside. I go for the switchback, pretty aggressive on corner exit, and with Notorious Saint right on our tail, it will be P2 on the road, but after penalties we'll be finishing race 2 in P3. Driving standards not brilliant from me in that second race, but it's 2 podiums in 2 races. 2 down, 1 to go. Can I get a 100% podium rate in my intro races? Let's find out. Here we go, race 3 at Grand Oak Raceway, qualifying in P5 in the Honda Touring Cars once again. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. This race doesn't exactly go to plan. Through turn 1 we go side by side with a car on my right. Looks like we've secured P4 as we go through turn 2. A few light touches ahead and behind, but nothing like this one. I brake way too early for this right-hander, and Renanzix is right into the back of me. Both of us onto the grass, and this isn't my proudest moment. Rejoining right in the mid-pack. Cars all over the place, and yeah, that was pretty atrocious, let's be honest. I'm not going to be winning any Fair Play awards today, that's for sure. Look ahead to Casey Kerbo, and he's going to be our rival in this race as it progresses, so we'll keep an eye on him. And as we exit the penultimate corner, we've gone from P5 to P10 on the first lap. Not a great start. Plenty of laps to make it up though. And as we enter turn 1, we see Casey Kerbo all over the road, weaving from left to right, braking late, driving very erratic, very unpredictable. We get alongside him on the way down to this chicane, and, well, what can I say? We're punted off into the gravel, and as I rejoin, Alfios behind gets around us, and we are plumb last of the remaining runners. A lot of ground to make up if we want any kind of result from this race. Round the penultimate corner, and we're just looking to keep tabs with Alfios up ahead. We want to put those laps in and just take our chances as they come to us. Having a much better turn 1 and turn 2 this time around. A clean run through the turn 3-4 chicane. And myself and Alfios are really catching KC up ahead. As we round the hairpin here, I'll get a little better exit than Alfios here. And if I just keep my foot to the floor, should be able to make the move down into turn 1. We're on the inside here as we pass the start-finish line. And I have just enough of my nose on the inside to prevent Alfios taking the racing line. We go late on the brakes, try to carry the speed, but I take too much of this curb on the left-hand side, lose a bit of control and get hit from behind. Totally my mistake there. I don't think there's anything Alfios could have done to avoid me. But we need to do the work all over again, hitting those apexes and catching back up. Alfios and Casey having an almighty tussle for P9 ahead. And again, Casey being very erratic, very unpredictable, difficult to race against. And as we make our way through the final sector here at Grand Oak, he is determined to hold on to P9 through any means necessary, throwing so many blocks and moves here. Alfios with a bit of a moment on the right hand side. We keep our foot to the floor. Casey tries to move across, but is too late. And at this point I'm thinking, hit your braking point and the move is done. But as soon as I hit the brakes, I'm punted into oblivion, off onto the grass and losing a chunk of time. And that's really the kind of driving we don't want to be seeing in Forza Motorsport's multiplayer. Once again, ground to make up, and I'm determined to keep it clean here. No revenge punts from me. If I get an overtake, I want it to be nice and clean. Am I being too nice against a dirty driver? Maybe. But hey, that's how I roll. Approaching turn 2 again, Casey braking really early, and once again I am right behind on the run down to the chicane. He goes to block on the outside, I switch to the inside, and he just drives right into me really. He exits the turn ahead, and all of this is giving Alfios a chance to get back into the fight. Just half a second behind me right now. And as we enter the final sector, Casey goes a little wide and I follow him. I know he's erratic, so I'm looking for any opportunity to get around him at this point. Once again braking in the middle of the corner, and I give him a pretty hefty shunt from behind, and that gives Alfios the chance to go down my inside. Side by side through the final corner, and it's a drag race down to turn 1. We do get a 2.25 second penalty, but looking at the radar, looks like Casey had a moment, and thankfully, at last, that's the last we'll be seeing of him in this race. Keeping it pinned to the outside around turn 1, getting the move done on Alfios, going a bit wide at the exit of turn 2, and now with just a lap and a half to go, I'm looking to build that gap up to 2.25 seconds to keep a hold of P9. A little bit of close quarters racing there, but I stay ahead. Looking at the time gaps, it's deja vu all over again. ASAP Mob ahead is losing time all over the place. As we start the final lap, that gap is down to 3.5 seconds. And once again, I need to make up 5 seconds on the final lap to gain a place at the line. Rounding turn 2, that gap is getting smaller by the meter. And it's just 1.5 seconds as we enter this turn 3-4 chicane. He clips the grass on the left-hand side, really struggles to get the car turned around this long left-hander. I know these next 2 corners will be really painful, and they are, as he understeers way off to the left and I go streaming by. That's P8 on the road, and Alfios also gets by, with the gap at 2.2 seconds. Can I keep it as we head to the line, getting on the gas early at the exit of the penultimate corner? Keeping that right foot on the floor as we round the final bend. And at the end of that wild and wacky race, we come home in P8. So there we go, my first 3 intro races completed, and it's a first, a third, and an 8th. And wow, that couldn't be a more concentrated dose of Forza Motorsport's multiplayer if I tried. Good hard racing, but also a whole load of shenanigans. And I'm sure there'll be much more of both to come. We end up with a B safety rating and a skill rating of 4584 out of 5000. Pretty happy with that, all things considered. But this is just the start, and there's plenty more on the way. I'm having a lot of fun in Forza Motorsport's multiplayer, and I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, give it a like and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on more Forza content coming soon. I'm John from TopSplit, and I'll see you out on track.